Hello and welcome back to the fourth episode of Tkinter series. In our previous episode, we have learned how to design a calculator. We have designed a calculator application and we have created basic set of buttons in that calculator application. Now in this episode of Tkinter series, we are going to learn how to program those buttons. When you click on those buttons, some task should happen. So without wasting any time, let's now start coding the buttons. So friends, this was our application. Let's run it before we start coding for the buttons. And this is the layout. This is the button that we have created. Nothing is happening when we are clicking on these buttons. And this is what we have to program today, that when we click on these buttons, the related function should execute. So let us start now. Now, before we start, I would like to change color of these two buttons, dot and equal to, because they are not fitting into the symmetry of the colors. So let me quickly change their colors. I gave them light blue color, so I'll just quickly change their color, light gray, dot and equal, light gray. Let's quickly check them. Now I think the symmetry is better. Now let's focus on the main part of this program. Let's start coding for these buttons. So the first thing that I would like to program here is when I click on these buttons, then the related text should appear in the text box. So let's quickly program for them. Now, the thing is, when we have buttons on the window, when we click on that button, a command should execute. Now, how do we make that command to execute? There is a parameter defined in Tkinter for executing a command, and that parameter is called command. So in button 7, I'm coding command. Command is equal to. Now, when I click on this command button, a related function should execute. That means we have to make a related function. So let's make a function. The function in Python starts from def keyword. Def, and this is button click. So when I click in this button, it takes a parameter, that is text parameter, the text written on the button on which we are clicking. So if I'm clicking on 7, the text written on the button is 7. That 7 will be passed to this function. Now, the entry control has a function insert. It takes two parameters. The first parameter is the index position, where that text has to be inserted. And the second parameter is the string that we want to insert in this entry control. Now, we know that whenever we type numbers in calculator, they appear one after another, like 1, 2, 3. For example, if I type here 1, then 2, then 3. So they are appearing one after another. So this is what I want here. Entry.insert tk.end. So the index position at which the text has to be entered is the end position of the text present in the entry. Then comma, the text that we are passing as parameter. This text should be inserted at that position. So when I click on this button, the text which is being received by this function will be inserted at the end. Let's try it. Now, come back to button 7's coding. Command is equal to lambda colon button click. And in this button click event, I'm going to pass 7 as an argument. Now, this 7 will be received by this text. That means the value of this text will become 7. And entry.insert function is called. This insert function will insert that 7 at the end position of the text, which is already present in the entry control, and this text will be inserted. Let's quickly try it out. Now let me click on 7. You can see 7 has appeared, and when I click on the 7 again, 7 will appear after the already existing 7. Now we have to program the same thing for all the buttons. I'll come back to coding. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to copy this command and we'll paste it in other buttons, and then we'll quickly change the text which is being passed. I have not written this function in equal to button because equal to will not be appearing there. We will be defining some other function for equal to. So clear, delete, backspace, exit. All right. So I think this is fine. Let's quickly change the text. So after 7, we have 8, 9, 4, 5, 6, and this is divide button. So we will like to pass divide, and for divide I'll be passing this oblique symbol because when we will be evaluating this expression, this divide symbol will be used. So I'll pass this divide. Then for multiply, I'll be passing this asterisk symbol. This is 1, 2, 3 and plus, then 0 dot minus. So let's quickly check these buttons. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 dot divide, min, multiply, plus, minus. So all these are coming. Now we have to refine our coding. The first thing that we are going to do, you must have seen in the calculators that the text is right aligned. In our program, it is left aligned as of now. We have to right align it. So I'm going to right align the text. So come back to program. In this entry control where we have given the parameters, I'll write justify is equal to right. So let's run and check. And now you can see the text is right aligned. Great. Now for this exit button, when I click on this exit button, I want this calculator to close down and come back to the program. So quickly define a function. Now, before we proceed further, I would like to tell you here that we are going to modify this button click function because there are various refinements that we need to do in this program. So we have to modify it, but for the time being, we'll be using it. Later on, we'll be modifying it. So let's now program for exit button, def button exit. It will not take any parameter. Now, for exit, we want the window to be closed. To close the window, the function that we'll be using is root dot destroy. So this closes down the window which is running. And I have to call this function from exit button. Command is equal to button exit. Now you must be wondering that why we have used lambda keyword here, but not here. That I'll be explaining later on. So let me quickly run this program and check whether it is exiting or not. So I'll click on exit button. So the window is closing down perfectly. Let's come back. Now why we are writing this lambda function here and why we have not written here. The reason being, in Python, lambda function is also known as anonymous function. Now, this lambda function is introduced here to induce a delay for executing the command. Otherwise, what will happen if we don't give this lambda function? As soon as we run this program, the command written in the button will execute. For example, I'll remove this lambda function from here and then click on run button. You can see that this 7 is appearing here in the text box. When we are running this calculator, this 7 appears here. We don't want that. We want that the 7 should appear or any number should appear when we click on that button. So to induce that delay, we have used lambda function. Now what will happen after using lambda function, when we click on that button, the lambda function executes. Now, as of now, what is happening when we are running this program, this command is getting executed directly. It is directly calling button click function. Now, since it is directly calling button click function and we run this program, 7 appears here because the button has clicked or that function has executed when we are running the program. Now, what is going to happen? Once we introduce this lambda function here, when we click on this button, The command that executes is lambda, and this lambda calls this function. So this creates a delay. It does not executes immediately on running the calculator. So now I'll run this. See, no 7 is appearing, no text is appearing. And when I'm clicking on that button, the lambda function executes, and the lambda function calls the button click function, and button click function enters the text in the entry widget. So that's why we have introduced lambda function. But here in this exit, since we are not passing any parameter, it will be called when we will click on that exit button. If we had passed any parameter in this exit function, it would have also executed immediately. So this is the reason why we are using lambda here, but not here. Now let us quickly write the code for clearing the text. How that clear function will work. Now what I want, when I click on this C button, this text should be cleared. This entry widget should be cleared. Now, how it is going to be cleared? When we click on this C button, I'll call a function, and that function will start deleting each and every piece of text starting from the 0th index position. Since this 0 is present at the 0th index position till the last index position, it will delete all the text. So how we are going to achieve this functionality? Def button clear entry dot delete. We'll use delete function of entry widget. And again, you can see the first index position to last index position. There are two parameters that has to be passed. So I'm going to use the first index position is 0 and the last index position will be tk dot end. This tk dot end is a constant which gives you the end index position of the entry control text. Whatever text is present in the entry control, it will give you the last index position. Let's attach this function with the clear button. Command is equal to button clear. Let's run this now. I'll click on this clear button and the text is cleared. So this is done. Now let's quickly calculate the square root of a number and insert it in the text box. I'll enter a number, the square root will be calculated and it will be inserted in the entry widget. Now to calculate square root, what I'm going to do, I'm going to import another module that is called math module. Import math. This math module contains lots of functions related to mathematics or arithmetic. So let's create a function to calculate square root. So def button square root sqrt. Now to calculate square root of the number, I must first obtain the number which is present in the entry widget. How do we obtain that? I'll use a variable current text is equal to entry dot get. This get function of the entry control will obtain the text which is written in the entry widget. Sq is equal to math dot square root and float current underscore text. So this float function is typecasting the text written in the entry widget into the floating data type. So this is calculated. Now I want to clear that entry widget. Entry dot delete from 0 to tk dot end. The text will be cleared and now inserting the result. So the result will be inserted entry dot insert tk dot end and here I'll insert sq. Now let's attach the function square root with this button square root. So command is equal to button sqrt. Let's now run and check our program. 36 square root 6.014 I'll clear this text. 49 square root 7. Now let's code for this backspace button. This one. So when I click on this backspace button, the last number written in the entry widget will be deleted. So let's code for it. Def button backspace. So here again, I'm going to take a variable current underscore text is equal to, I'll obtain the text which is written in this entry widget. And now I have to delete the last character from the entry widget. So entry dot delete. Now I have to go to the last index position. So how will I obtain that last index position? I'll use a function length to obtain the length of current text. This length function of Python obtains the length of the text. So if I've written 1, 2, 3, the length of the text will be 3. But the index position of the last number will be 3 minus 1, that is 2, because the index values starts from 0. So length of current text minus 1 till tk end. So it will delete the last character, last number present in the entry widget. Let's attach this button backspace with the button that we have created in our calculator. This is back delete. So comma command is equal to button backspace. Let's run this program. I'll write some text here, 1, 2, 3, and I'll use this backspace button, and you can see that the text is deleted from the last character one by one. So after programming for the backspace button, the next step is let's program for these operators, the mathematical operators. So when these mathematical operators are inserted in an expression, the result should be evaluated and will be entered in the text box. So let's say if I'm writing 10 plus 10 and clicking on equal to button, then the result of this expression should be evaluated and should be inserted in the entry widget. So let's quickly code for that. Def evaluate expression. Now I'll obtain the current text, current underscore text is equal to entry dot get. Result is equal to eval current text. This eval function of Python will be used to evaluate the expression. It will automatically evaluate the expression and the result will be stored in result. Now I'll clear this entry control, entry dot delete from 0 to tk dot end, and now the result will be inserted into entry widget. So entry dot insert tk dot end result. Let's attach this evaluate expression command with the button equal to. So when we click on this equal to button, the expression will be evaluated and result will be inserted into the entry widget. So command is equal to evaluate expression. Let's run this program. 10 plus 10 is equal to 20 multiplied by 8 is equal to 160 divided by 5 is equal to 32.0 plus 36 minus 4 divided by 2 multiplied by 4 is equal to 60. So now this equal to button is working perfectly fine. Now the most important part of this program. See, we are able to write these expressions, evaluate them, but still there is a flaw in this program. What is this? Let me write a number 10.25. Now when I have inserted decimal point once in a number, I should not be able to insert this decimal point again. But here you can see I can insert as many decimals as I want. So we have to now modify the click event of the button. That's why I said in the beginning that we'll be modifying the button click event later on. So let's quickly program for that. So this is the event, button click event, that we are going to modify now. The first step that I'm going to take to handle this situation is I'll be importing a module. Import RE. This RE stands for regular expression. Now Python has this module regular expression which checks for different patterns in an expression. So I'll be using this RE module. So import RE. I'm going to define a global variable. A global variable is a variable which is available in all the functions. So I'm going to take a global variable has underscore decimal and initialize it to false. The next step that I'm going to take in this program is in this button click event. Now I want this has decimal, which is a global variable, to be modified within this function. To get the ability to modify a global variable inside a function, we must declare that variable inside the function using global keyword. So global has underscore decimal. Now Python will know whenever we are going to make change in this has decimal variable that this is a global variable which is already declared here. So it is not going to create a new variable with name has decimal, or rather it is going to make changes to this global variable. So the first thing done is global has decimal. Now the next thing that I'm going to do in this function is to obtain the current text present in the entry widget and obtain the cursor position of the text to be inserted. So these two things I'm going to obtain. Current text is equal to entry dot get. We'll obtain the current text. To obtain the cursor position, I'll be using the index function of entry widget. Cursor position is equal to entry dot index, index of the current insertion point, insert. So these two things I have obtained. Now the next thing is I'm going to check the current text and the text which is being passed to this button click function. If current text is equal to blank, that means blank text, and text in plus, minus, divide, multiply, then return. That means we don't have any number present inside the entry widget and we want to perform these calculations. So this function will return. It will not proceed further. It will return as it is. Nothing is going to happen. Now the next and most important part of this function is if text is equal to dot, then what should happen? Now I'm going to check the sequence of dots, either one or more dots appearing in the text in the current piece of number. So if re.search, re is the regular expression module that we have inserted and it has got a search method. And what it is going to search for, it is going to search for a regular expression for dot plus within current text starting from cursor position till end of that piece of text. Now, how this is going to work? When I have written this, if re.search within brackets r, so it is going to check for a regular expression and it is going to check for the occurrence of dot. The slash is used as an escape sequence. So slash is used and then dot. So it is going to check for the occurrence of dot within the current text, and plus means one or more occurrences of this dot within the current text. And what we are doing, current text from cursor position, and cursor position we have obtained here. Cursor position is the a position where we are inserting the text till the last point of text that we have inserted. So it is going to check occurrence of decimal points present in that text. One or more occurrences of this dot present in the current text, and if it finds one or more occurrence of dot within current piece of text, the function will return and it will not allow another dot to be entered into the current expression. So how this works, this R is used for regular expression. This slash is being used here as an escape sequence, and it will search for the dot. Dot plus means one or more occurrences of this dot within the current expression. From where? In the current text, from the cursor position. That means starting from the cursor position. So let's say I have entered 10 point and again I want to press point. What will happen? It will search for one or more occurrence. So even if once I want to enter the dot again, the function will return and will not allow me to enter the dot within the same number. Now let's say the decimal is already present inside the number. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to check if has underscore decimal. It is the global variable that we have taken, then return. That means if has decimal is true, this function will return without doing anything else. That means decimal was not present. It was false. Decimal was not present in the current number. It will make it true. Has decimal is equal to true. So if there was no decimal present within the current number, when we press decimal point will be inserted and this has decimal will be set to true. So next time for the same number, it will not allow me to enter the second decimal in the same number. And now out of this if block, if text is equal to dot, out of this if block, I'll insert the text entry dot insert tk dot end and I'll enter the text. Now another important part of this button click event is I should not be able to insert consecutive operators. That means if I have already entered a plus, I should not be able to enter plus immediately after the plus or minus immediately after the plus. I should be able to enter the operator only after a number. So the next part is going to check for that. So I need to obtain the current text. Since I've entered the text, I know what text I have inserted now. So if I have inserted plus, my program knows that the plus has been inserted. If I inserted dot, I know that dot has been inserted. If I inserted a number, I know that the number has been inserted. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to obtain the text inserted inside the entry widget. So I'll take txt because current text we have already taken. I'm not going to use that current text variable again. Txt is equal to entry dot get. I've obtained the text. And now this if condition. If txt length of txt minus 1. So the text that I have obtained, its length will be taken and its last index position length, let's say I have entered 1, 2, 3 plus. So the length of the text will be 4 and 4 will be obtained. I want to test the last character, whether it was an operator or a number. So minus 1. Length of the text is 4. So the index value for the last character will be 3. In plus minus divide multiply. So this checks if the last character was an operator and txt length of txt minus 2. That means a character previous to that character. Let's say the last character is plus. A character previous to plus, that should not be an operator. So that's why minus 2 has been used here. Minus 2 in Again the same. So I'll copy and paste it. Then we should use the backspace again to clear the last operator. Suppose consecutively I'm pressing two operators plus minus. If the second is also an operator and the character previous to that operator is also an operator, that last operator should be deleted. So I'll be using the backspace functionality for this. So I take the code from the back delete or backspace and use here. Entry.delete length of, I'll use txt, not current text, txt -1 tk. So the last operator will be deleted. So it will not allow me to enter two or more consecutive operators simultaneously. So now the last important part of this code is if text in, that means the text which has been passed to this function in plus minus oblique a star, then the has decimal will be set to false again. Why we are setting it to false again? Because let's say I have entered plus and again after that I'm going to enter a number. Now that number can contain a decimal point. So for that number, the hash decimal has turned to false. And once we enter a decimal point in that second number, the hash decimal will be again set to true. So I think this is done. Let's quickly test our program. I'll remove this entry.insert that we have inserted in the beginning itself. Let me run this program. Okay, so error has occurred. I have used single equal to here. There should be two equal to symbols here to check the equality. Let's run the program and 10.25 plus 25.5. Let me try to press dot once again. It is not allowing me to enter the dot. Minus 5 plus, let me try to press another operator and it is not allowing me to enter another operator. So I think this is working perfectly fine. Plus 2 is equal to, and this is the result. So now my calculator is working perfectly fine. Let me clear this text, write some text 10 point. I want to press dot again, but it is not allowing. To 4 into 5.3 multiply, it's not allowing, 3 is equal to. So now this program is working perfectly fine. So friends, now you have seen how we have programmed this calculator. First, we have designed this calculator using Tkinter module in Python, and then we have programmed for the functionality of each and every button, and your basic calculator is ready. So now I hope you will be able to create a calculator using Tkinter and make this program very easily. So see you in the next episode of Tkinter series. Till then, subscribe to my channel, share this video, click on this notification bell so that you can get the video as soon as I upload a new one. And do write your comments in the comment section. Tell me the goods and bads of the episode. Till then, take care. Goodbye.